News and information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.
The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the 5th floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Welcome to Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga here, your local host and local DFW area realtor. Come on in, stay a while. Welcome to a WrestleMania Sunday. All you Hulkamaniacs out there. Hey, I love wrestling. I really, really do. Remember back in the day, Von Erichs were so big, and I remember they actually came to Frisco High School and way back in the 90s, and they were there and they had the claw and everything. That was back in the good old days of wrestling. But going to be a great day out there in Jerry's World for some wrestling. And you know who else is coming to Jerry's World? Guns N' Roses. They are coming back on tour. I got a special email yesterday, and they're coming back around. And they haven't been on tour since, I don't know, geez Louise, like late 80s, early 90s. And they're going full throttle. They're going all stadiums. They're doing Jerry's World. They're doing Arrowhead, all stadiums across the nation. I hope they can hold it together. You know, they've been apart for a long time, and it's been crazy. But one of my favorite bands back in the day when they were together. But we'll see if they can hold it together and keep the tour together. That'd be sweet. Tickets were outrageous, of course. We'll see if we can maybe get over there and catch it, though. It'd be all right. Hey, guess what? We got an action-packed show today. Here's what we're doing. We got J.C. Harder of J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance brand. We're talking insurance talk coming up about 8:11. After that, we're going to do a little mortgage talk and real estate talk with Terry Wagner over at Supreme Lending Rockwall. She's live here in studio. And then we're unveiling a new segment that we're going to be doing on a regular basis. Our special attorney here, Perry Cockrell. We've got a new Perry Mason segment, if you will. We're going to be talking law and how that impacts real estate, but also some of the things that are going on both regionally and nationally as far as Supreme Court cases. And so lots of cool, exciting information coming in that attorney segment that we're going to do on a regular basis. We're unveiling that today later in the show. And then we're going to wrap it all up at the end of the show with some sports. And we got our high school sports segment today. We're going to be talking to 5A state champion head coach, boys basketball over at Lancaster, Farron Douglas. And by the way, they are back-to-back state champions. They won last year, won again this year. And so excited to talk to head coach Douglas later on in the show. So hang tight for that action-packed show we have for you. Hey, by the way, it is still an absolute crazy market out there. You know, if you're a seller out there, you want to give me a call. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or doing anything in real estate, you want to give us a shout and let our team go to work for you. Just put a new listing on over in Fort Worth. And she had listed already with some of the biggest names. Twice now she's had her listing up on the market with some of the biggest names in the Metroplex. And, you know, I'll be honest, you know, some of the biggest names in the Metroplex, the thing is they're going to come out and maybe meet you. Maybe you'll see them once. And guess what? You're going to be dealing with their admin staff or their team members the rest of the time. And that's what her experience was, is that, you know, she met the head person the one time, the name one time, and that was it, and never heard from them again, and only was able to deal with admin staff who couldn't answer her questions. And she felt like they just put a sign in the yard, and that was it. You know, now this is a home that should sell. I mean, how can you go wrong on this type of house? 2014, darn near new build. All the bells and whistles of, you know, the nice model home that they put out that's got all the bells and whistles. This was the one. Nice Bloomfield home. And, it's not like she was too tight on the sales price either. So, got enough equity in there to get out of there, and they couldn't get it done. It's kind of surprising. And so we're getting it on the market for her, and we're actually going to use a little bit different strategy with it and hopefully get that sold for her. But, remember, folks, you're going to always deal with me direct. I answer my phone, I answer my emails, and you're not going to just see me once and that's it. You'll continue to talk to me regularly. You'll get regular updates from me. And, of course, let the power of radio do some work for you. I mean, there aren't very many folks out there that have got that kind of platform to help get your home sold. And, use a line from Top Gun, if they can trust me, well, so should you. An old Maverick line there. But, yeah, you have to be heavily vetted to get on the radio, by the way, and you have to kind of know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. So you might want to think about that. Buyers, hey, it's a tough go out there right now. You want to actually win your bid, give me a shout, get with me. We'll strategize on how to do that. And because it's really tough out there. We'll figure out what your situation is. Do you have some extra cash flow to go over? Do you not? Well, then how do we strategize if you don't have the extra cash flow to go over bid? And, folks, you're going to need to listen to me. It's not your grandpa's market. Like I said before, it's not your mom and dad's market. It's not your friend's market that bought 6 months or a year ago. They're telling you at work, hey, I got all my closing costs paid for. I knocked X number of dollars off the list price. Hey, if you're in a subdivision that maybe isn't hot demand, or your house is just in disrepair, well, maybe we can do that, for you as a buyer. But by and large, if you're looking in the hot to trot zones, be ready to go over bid. And trust me, I don't want to see you have to pay over bid. I'm looking at this just like I'm buying the house. I feel what you feel, and I don't like that. I don't want to say, hey, we're going to have to go in and go 10, 15,000, 20,000 over list price to get this house. I don't want to say that. I'd love to say, let's go in, let's get a good deal, because I like getting good deals myself, and I want to see you get a good deal. But we're not in that market, and we can't play that game. If you want to play that game, you're going to have to stay on the sidelines because we just don't have the time to play with you. You need to put your big boy and big girl pants on, understand what the market is. I'm telling you what it is, and let's get out there and find you a home. Otherwise, just stay on the sidelines because it's too busy, too fast-paced out there, and we got too much to do and too many clients that need a house. The ones that need a house and need my help, let's get out there, rock and roll, and get it done. If you just want to go out and play around and not listen to the professionals, well, you can stay on the sidelines, folks. Hey, folks, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come on back inside Real Estate Mike Kruizinga.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Permapeer Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Permapeer Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Permapeer at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapeer.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga here, your host. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Remember, you can always connect there with us and all of our partners. And we've got J.C. Harder here live in studio. We're going to be talking more insurance talk today. Website, jcharderagency.com. Phone number, 214-643-6108. We highly recommend you shop JC and Patty for all your insurance needs, home, auto, toy, and otherwise. And let's get into another segment. JC, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm very, very good. So who are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about Universal North America. They were founded in 2003, and they are headquartered in Florida. So I had talked about a company called Cypress and UPC in the last couple of weeks or months. And they are very similar to them, and it goes into that, that aspect of, if you can make it and be profitable and take care of your claims in a hurricane state, then you can basically write insurance everywhere. So they are very good for our, our coastal area of Texas, our Harris and Fort Bend counties and everything like that. And they write, in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and so on.
Yeah, it's a great point there because, if you're right, if a company can do business and stay afloat, when writing in hurricane-ridden areas, then, they can certainly take care of us here in the DFW area.
Absolutely. And, of course, you probably get tired of me saying it, but I have to mention that they are A-rated through the AM Best rating system, which, again, is the financial stability. So they have the money to pay out, if and when claims do happen. Last year they had a 94% claim satisfaction rating, on their claims. So, really good complaint index with the Texas Department of Insurance. So again, they can be very competitive. They do write the HOB form as well. So that's the all risk. That's the upgrade form in Texas. In English, it basically means you have more things you're covered for. So even with the better product, that's a good correlation of, their clients being happy as well.
Right. And we've talked about in other segments about the all-risk type of policy. And, folks, if you're not in that category with all risk, I mean, it is just what it sounds like. Would you like to be covered for some risk or all risk? All sounds better than some or a little bit. So you want to call JC about it. And you might be surprised that your policy is not all risk. And if you're not, you're open to some serious possibilities there.
Okay, let's go through some of the features, of the universal product. They can be written on a standalone feature, so you don't have to have the auto insurance, and that's for homeowners and for rental properties. Another great little piece to them is they have equipment breakdown protection. So typically this would be filed under home warranties and things like that. But if you didn't have a home warranty and something like your AC or appliances or something like that just stopped, working, then they have that endorsement available on their policies as well too. Which that's probably a very common question that we get from our clients is my AC stopped working. Can I make a claim on that? Insurance doesn't cover wear and tear or breaking of items. Now if the wind, took the AC, out of its spot outside or things like that, like if a covered peril damaged those appliances, then that's when you file a claim. But for wear and tear, things breaking, that's for your home warranty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, like everyone, they're really good if it is a newer home. There's up to 45% discounts for a brand new home, and they have particular builder discounts as well too. So if you're, getting one of the major builders out there, and which so much, in North Texas is under new construction right now, they can be a huge discount for that situation. A couple other little nice points about them is they have an affinity discount. So if you're a educator, an employee of John Deere, Toyota, or Caterpillar, they can give you up to a 10% Infinity discount as well too. As far as like ease of use, a lot of insurance companies are, going the application route as well too, as far as like making claims, talking to your agent and everything like that. They have a really nice app that you can download and use them. And then you also get a new purchase discount. So, we primarily work with lenders and realtors in the area. So anyone they're going to send over is going to get a good discount just right off the top for it being a new purchase.
Very good. And if we can, go back just a second here. Can you give us those employers again? Because I know there's folks listening out there, and they heard discount, but they might not have heard all the employers that would be open there.
Absolutely. John Deere, Caterpillar, Toyota, and it just says teachers or educators.
If you're in education, okay.
Yeah. So I know I know a Horace Mann is an insurance provider strictly from, for teachers, and they get good discounts like that. And, they're a great company. However, it's their company, their price. That's their only option, where we can still shop the market for you. And if Universal's anywhere in the competitive area, then we can put that extra, education discount, and they might be number one from there.
Yeah, that might bump them over. Okay, so that's great news right there. Again, they do condo products, they do rentals, they do homeowners. They, have really good builder discounts, new purchase discounts. They're A-rated. They're all risk. Again, you're not going to see this company on TV advertising and things like that, but, they have the money to pay out in case something happens, and it's just another reason to give us a call and, make sure we're checking all the options out there for you. Very good. Well, folks, look, this is just another great option. This is one of the ones that JC has access to, and he can shop around. This is, I've been talking about Universal, and one of the great things about them is there's some discounts for teachers and folks in education, as well as the folks over at Caterpillar and John Deere. Great company. Only JC's got access to them, folks. You want to give JC and Patty and his team a call. Phone number where they are always ready for your insurance needs, 214-643-6108. The website is jcharderagency.com. Let them know you heard them on the radio. And, folks, once again, if you haven't checked your policy lately for homeowners, particularly if you're not in that all-risk category, you need to get with JC on that, because you want to be covered if something strikes your family and your home. You want to be covered. Folks, been another great insurance segment with JC. JC, we got anything else?
That's it. See you next week.
All right, folks. We will see you next week. Hey, it's Inside Real Estate and Mike Kruizinga. I'll be back in a few.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruizinga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Perma-Pure Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Perma-Pure Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Perma-Pure at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapure.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Time to head on into a mortgage segment. We got Terry Wagner here from Supreme Lending Rockwall. Website, RockyMartin.com. RockyMartin.com, Rocky with an IE. Phone number, 866-607-5667. For all your mortgage refinance, Texas cash out needs. Terry, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mike?
Really good.
Good.
So what's going on in mortgage real estate world today?
Well, we had a couple of calls this week that kind of prompted this segment, so I thought I would kind of maybe give a little education to folks on what all affects your monthly payment.
Sounds good to me. Education is good.
Education is good. There are some mortgage calculators out there on the internet that don't include everything that will be included or could be included in your payment. And I think it's important for people to realize that if you're playing around on the internet, and everybody does, you want to make sure and have as accurate information as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So things that will affect your total overall monthly payment, first and largest in most instances, are your taxes, your property taxes.
Hugely.
Yes. The taxing entities that come into play, there are the county appraisal districts is where we go to find out what the taxes are for any particular property. When we pre-qualify someone, what we're doing is we're estimating, because we may know somewhere that you're looking, an area that you're looking, but the next day you may take them out, Mike, to a completely different area, and we don't know anything about it, but we quoted them taxes over here in this area, taxes over here are a little different. So pre-qualification can be a little difficult at times when we do that.
Right.
So we want to make sure and kind of give a worst case scenario in most instances when we're doing pre-qualifications.
Sure. But
the county appraisal districts have they're kind of set up in three different categories, you might say. So you've got your appraisal district. Once a year, they'll go out and they'll determine what the value of that home is, not necessarily what the fair market value of the home is, because that's going to be determined by your appraiser. But and they'll do that once a year, and they base that off or your taxes are going to be based off what that appraisal amount is. So, and another thing for people to know is the county appraisal district value is not, in most cases, is not what the fair market value of that property is.
Correct.
Then you've got your citizens board, and that's going to hear any disagreements if someone has wants to dispute or argue the point that their house, that's not the value of their house. Mm-hmm. And then they've got the local taxing units, and that's the area that's going to determine what the taxes are in a particular area. And you've got things like you've got your city, your state, your school. You've got PUD and you've got MUD. Mm-hmm. When you add those, that's when you really get into some higher taxes that folks may not know about.
Right.
So we definitely want to know about that if in particular areas that you're looking at when we're pre-qualifying someone, so we can determine, hey, you really don't qualify for this much because your taxes are really high in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you got an HOA too,
that's
on top of that.
That was my next one. HOAs, homeowner association dues. Not all properties have them, but the ones that do, they can vary vastly.
Yes. From
$50 a year to, I had one time that because they have the fees that go along with transferring the HOAs. The transfer fee was $1,600.
Oh my God, that's
Isn't that
ridiculous.
Crazy? So these are important things to know when you're looking in a particular area, so that you know to expect those fees at closing or those HOA dues being added to your monthly payment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to your monthly payment, we're not going to collect for those. We're not going to escrow for your HOAs, but we do have to take those into account for what you qualify for.
Right.
Because it is a payment that you're going to have to make.
Yes.
So then the next one is homeowners association. That's where our good friend JC comes in, and he will give us quotes on that. But again, as we're pre-qualifying someone, we're just giving possibly a worst-case scenario, but not always. It has come up where, okay, I've estimated homeowners insurance to be this, but maybe there were additional claims that person had made or that home had that are going to affect the homeowners the homeowners insurance that we don't know about. Right. There's lots of unknowns.
Yeah, they could go up or down.
Right, exactly. And then there's the dreaded mortgage insurance.
Boo.
And we've talked about this so much, we've kind of beat it to death. But it just depends on what type of loan you're doing. FHA, you're going to have the upfront mortgage insurance and the monthly. Conventional, you're going to have the monthly, but that's going to depend on the factors are going to be what your what your credit score is and how much you're putting down.
Right.
And then for VA and USDA, they call them something different, but it basically is the same thing.
Same thing.
VA, you've got your funding fee, and that's an upfront fee that's financed in. And then the USDA, they've changed that over the last few years because USDA has become a very popular product, and we need to spend a segment talking about USDA probably.
Yeah, we do.
But USDA has an upfront, and it's kind of gotten pretty hefty. And then they've now got a monthly where before they didn't have a monthly.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about those VA and USDA because if you plan to sell in a short period of time. Now, right now we're experiencing extreme appreciation, but generally, because all of us, you're buying a $200,000 home, and then you have that fee added on top of it. You're like,
Right.
okay, it goes up. You might be up to 210.
Right. Right. Because for the USDA, that's exactly what happens. You finance that in, and your cumulative loan to value is greater than 100%. If you're putting nothing down. So yes, you're correct. You don't want to do 100% financing if you only plan on staying in the home a couple of years, because you're going to be in trouble when you get ready to sell it.
Yeah, more than likely.
So I just wanted to kind of bring that to everyone that, the mortgage calculators, they are great tools. Don't discount those at all on the internet. We have them on our website, so please feel free to go there and kind of play around with numbers. But please know that there are other entities that go into what that payment is, and don't be surprised when the mortgage calculator tells you your payment on a $200,000 house is $1,200, because it's probably not going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of those mortgage calculators, if you just punch that in on Google.
Right.
There's a lot of these just random websites that just, look, folks, there's a lot of websites out there that just, they're nothingness. They're just in space, and they sell advertising.
Right.
They're owned by some company that owns a gazillion websites that do random things so they can sell advertising on it. And guess what? There's no real humans behind it.
Right. Exactly.
You want to talk to live humans. Mike right here, Terry right here, talk to us.
That's right.
We'll give you the skinny on everything, and we'll give you good, legit information with facts and figures behind it.
Right. I think it's important for people to determine what their budget is.
Yeah.
Not you or I. It's what they think that they can afford, and then obviously we need to make sure it fits within the program parameters. But yeah, people need to understand what their budget is so that we can keep them there.
Absolutely. It's a tag team effort.
That's right.
Absolutely. Hey, WrestleMania Sunday here on Inside Real Estate, Mike Kruizinga. Hey, short break. We're coming on back. We're talking law. We got our resident expert in all things law, attorney Perry Cockrell, is here in studio. We'll be back in a second, folks.
Does the devil exist? Is there really a fallen angel named Lucifer? When you are tempted, is it really the product of an evil Satan? Russia's master of horror, Sergei Mavrodi, introduces you to Lucifer's Son, Book 1 of the Temptation Chronicles, a national bestseller in Russia. Kirkus Review calls it protracted, but deliciously creepy explorations of the macabre. Christine Morris of Forward Review says Lucifer's Son lays bare the depravity of the human heart as everyday men make bargains with the devil to obtain their desires. Follow the unrelated yet overlapping vignettes. Igor sells his soul on television and deals with the consequences. Andre struggles to survive an unforgiving forest. Lucifer's Son will fill you with fear and anxiety, and you won't be able to put it down until the terrifying conclusion. Lucifer's Son, Book 1 of the Temptation Chronicles by Sergei Mavrodi. Available in ebook or paperback at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and fine bookstores everywhere.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga, we are back. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Hey, we got our head coach coming up in the next segment. 5A state champion Lancaster boys, Farron Douglas head coach is coming in after this segment. And guess what, folks? We're unveiling a new segment right here, right now on Inside Real Estate. We got our law segment, all things law, our new resident expert of all things law. We've got Perry Cockrell here from the firm Ackerson, Howder, and Bisney, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. First of all, folks, this is a 28-year Navy veteran, reserve commander. Okay, he served in Desert Storm, Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi Freedom. Retired commander, and Perry is a trial attorney. He handles litigation in state, federal, and bankruptcy courts here in Texas. Board certified in civil trial law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. And we're going to get him on in here. Perry, how we doing today?
Hey, thanks, Mike, for inviting me. I appreciate being here.
Well, we're excited to have you as part of the show. I'm really excited. You know, we need an attorney's opinion on so many things that we talk about. There's so many things out there that, you know, we really need that perspective. And so we're excited to have you on board and looking forward to it. And, of course, Perry's website, by the way, is perryjcockrell.com. That's perryjcockrell.com. So let's get into a little bit of your background and kind of what you handle and talk about what, you know, if the folks need, you know, attorney help out there and what you handle. And then we'll kind of get into some topics that we were going to talk about.
Certainly. Well, I have lots of real estate cases that involve creditors' rights. They involve mechanics liens. They involve sales of real estate. They involve boundary disputes. They involve landlords with cellular tower disputes, in case you have that situation. I have a number of cases in the Court of Appeals, and they're in the real estate area, commercial area, bankruptcy creditors' rights is where I like to focus.
Okay. Very good. Well, folks, you know, look, Perry's kind of an expert attorney, okay? Heavy duty court action. This is your guy. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you're involved with right now, some of these cases you're involved with right now. And I know there's one where there's a big issue out there about folks that if they didn't file a claim in a timely manner, I know that's kind of an issue that's kind of out there. So why don't you know, to us laymen's over here and out there listening, kind of get into this, meat and potatoes of this, and explain it to us.
All right. What I brought, these are not my cases. These are cases of, I think, high-profile cases that are in the Texas Supreme Court and courts of appeals. Two of them are headed to the Texas Supreme Court. So I'm not talking about any of my specific cases. And I picked three because I believe they're really important.
Okay.
And what these three cases have in common is that these parties had rights and they had remedies, but they failed to bring these remedies within 4 years of the closing date. And the closing date is an operative time period for people who involve a sale of real estate, or if they're involving securing a home equity lien on their property, things of that nature.
Okay. And so when you close on something, and you know, we're talking about a piece of real estate transaction, we're looking at, you got to do it within 4 years. If there's an issue, you've got to get out there and deal with it, you know, basically right when you find out, right?
Within 4 years of the closing date, and that's a key date in these cases.
Okay.
The reason I picked these two is the first one was from the Supreme Court, decided last year, and it was the sale of a real estate where the seller intended to retain the mineral rights. You know, there's a lot of oil and gas in the Metroplex area.
Absolutely.
They went to the closing, and they actually transferred the entire estate that they own, which included the mineral. Although they continued to be paid the what they call shut-in royalties or shut-in payments after the sale for the next 2 years.
Okay.
They began to inquire, and then they finally realized it was a mistake. And by 2011, which is 5 years after the closing, they filed suit to reform this deed that they had signed that was different from what the contract of sale was, which excluded or reserved mineral rights.
Okay.
Trial court says the suit's barred. The Court of Appeals understands there's a problem. They reverse. Texas Supreme Court holds the case is barred by the 4-year statute of limitations.
So unfortunate that they were probably unaware of the 4-year rule, I'm guessing, and kind of sucks to be them then.
It would be, and of course they probably were like many people. They go to a closing, they assume the documents are correctly prepared. And then there's a document that requires the seller or requires the parties to actually correct mistakes after the closing, which they relied on too in their suit, but were unable to. But simply the Texas Supreme Court holds it if there's a plain material omission in what is called an unambiguous deed, then that party is on notice of that mistake at the time of closing, and they're also on notice of the deed that's in the deed records when they file it. The grantor is actually on notice of that. So the grantor has 4 years to do something about that. So the simple, and I'm not here to give legal advice, but this is practical advice, is that there's a tendency when you sell property to, when you finally get that check and you're glad that the property is sold and you never want to think about that deal again.
That's right. You're down the road and gone.
Go pull that closing file out and look at it again, because there are a lot of documents to go through. There's a lot of signatures. There's a lot of paperwork, and go through that one more time. Go through the deed again. And if you're uncertain, hire yourself your attorney that you trust and have them look through that if it's a very significant matter you're not certain about. That's some practical advice in what is a very common situation. I've seen this occur where people are selling property intending to reserve the mineral rights, and they simply do not in the deed.
Mm-hmm.
But they did so in the contract, and the other party actually knows that.
Right.
So the question of whether a case like that should be barred within 4 years is really a question the legislature needs to decide, if that's the kind of case that the law is intended to bar, where you have the immediate parties that are still there, still present. If you have where the property's been sold to a third person, then that's different, because that third person or that would take without notice that there's an error. So that's a different scenario. But when you have the same immediate parties to the transaction are there, you do have to sit back and think about what is the purpose of the 4-year limitation in a case like that. But that, like I say, it's not a legal question. That's a policy judgment. But my point in just bringing that case is that this is a very common thing, and can be examined, fairly closely right after the transaction occurs.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we're talking about kind of the mineral rights separation. When you buy a piece of real estate, the mineral rights, are separated and can be separated from the actual property. And so in the past few years, that's been kind of a sticking point in negotiations with typical residential real estate. Although the benefit to a residential lot is not a big deal as far as mineral rights royalties. Where we're talking about something of importance is where there's serious acreage involved, potential surface rights as far as drilling access is concerned, and just significant acreage where you might actually pool up some value in your mineral royalties that are there. And so that's when you need to be, really worried about, whether you want to retain those mineral rights, whereas a lot of landowners want to retain those mineral rights. It's a good thing to do that because you might have some financial benefit down the line. But if you do not reserve them, whatever you did own will be transferred on. And again, sometimes as a property owner, you may or may not even know how much of the mineral estate you do own. An original landowner going way back in time may have been that 100% owner, and as time moved forward, they sold it, but retained a piece of it. They might have retained 25%, 50% of it. Who knows? You kind of need a landman to look into that, or an attorney to look into that sort of thing for you. A title company can't always find that.
That's a good point. The Texas Supreme Court mentioned that mineral owners should protect those rights, and you can do that by investigating the records of your title. And you may need to do that, and you probably should do that in the other situations too. Residential, periodically, a few years down the road, you might want to run a check on your title just to make sure there's no liens out there, nothing's been conveyed without your knowledge. And as I said, in the case of mineral owners, protect those mineral rights so that they're not inadvertently transferred.
Yeah,
as in this case.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. Okay, so we got a little bit of time to maybe try to get into this next topic we want to talk about. Do we want to try to get into the home equity?
I do. And I'm glad Supreme Lending's here, because these cases are really important in the area of home equity lending. And when you hear about them, I call them the ex-wife regret cases. I pick these out because they have one thing common, and they're very similar to Cade versus Cosgrove. These ex-spouses actually had rights. If they had brought them timely, they would have been successful. The common aspect is that they didn't bring them within 4 years, and they were barred as a result of that. Now, they're really interesting because the first loan involves a home equity loan that was not signed by the spouse.
Ah.
The second one was one that was forged. Now, both of those liens were found to be valid and affirmed by the trial court. Now, as strange as that might sound, when I explain why, you'll see why those cases were affirmed and how it's possible to validate a forgery, which you cannot validate a forgery, but you can if you do certain things, like they did here.
Okay.
But one thing, let me mention, in 1997, home equity lending was passed by the voters, and it allows the homestead to be used to obtain a loan up to 80% of the fair market value. You have 12 days cooling off period. The loan has to be closed at the title company, the lender, or an attorney. The fees may not exceed 3%. And if there's a violation, the borrower has to give notice within 60 days. The lender has to cure. If he can't cure, he has to release the lien. But if you fail to give notice within 4 years, then that claim is barred. Now, what this means is that the lender can obtain a loan on property that you could not use as collateral, or it could violate the fair market value rule, or it could have even a signature or not that the other spouse learns later. But if that violation is not brought forward in 4 years, that loan becomes valid, even though it would have been an invalid loan had the suit been filed within 4 years.
Within 4 years.
Now, the Texas Supreme Court is finally going to answer that question. Is that really the case? Did the legislature mean that the lender can take a lien on property like agricultural property? Did it mean that a non-signing spouse who learns about it, could it violate the fair market value rule? Could it violate all these and still have a valid loan? Because the borrower didn't notify the lender 4 years after the closing. That is the unanswered question, at least by the Supreme Court. But all the courts, the federal court in New Orleans, the state court in Dallas, Texarkana, and a couple of bankruptcy courts hold 4 years is it. There's 2 cases from the Eastern District Bankruptcy Court that holds that's not correct. So we really have a conflict going on. So the Texas Supreme Court is going to answer that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, what they say about that. I mean, obviously, I guess at the lower court level, you gotta, it's a hard rule. 4 years. That is what it is. Yeah.
And it is. And now,
and we're running a little bit low on time. Unfortunately, we've got about half a minute here to wrap up.
Let me explain why the non-consenting spouse who didn't sign it, that loan was validated. The reason it was is that she learned of the loan in September of 2002 and took no action and filed suit in 2008. That suit's barred. Now, the question is, how could a forgery be validated? The spouse had forged the loan in 2004. They go through a divorce in 2009, and the spouse learns of it. But in the divorce, the property, both of these, the property is awarded to the husband, and in the connection to the divorce, she transfers the real estate to the husband by a special warranty deed. She validated the transfer, even though her original signature had been forged. She validated. Now, she figures out later, and in the other case, they figure out later, wait a minute, I could have invalidated those loans, and we could have had the property free of the liens. They figured this out later and brought suit. It was untimely, so they were 4 years. So you can validate a forgery if you subsequently validate it by signing a proper deed, transferring that.
Unbelievable.
So
well, you can see how when it comes to divorce, you can see how that brings everything to light, right? All of a sudden, the big spotlight is on the financials of a couple, and so anything that you did, if you tried to forge a home equity loan, if you get divorced later, it's going to be found out.
That was amazing.
That is amazing. Well, that's interesting. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to have more time in the weeks to come to talk about finishing up this. I know we had a little bit longer segment we were going to do with this, but we're running a little short on time. Folks, PerryJCockrell.com is the website. Perry's going to be in here regularly talking about all things legal. And, this is, look, if you need a litigator, you need an attorney, this is your guy. Folks, we're going to take a short break. We're coming back.
Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. And now you can. With ZipRecruiter.com, You can post your job to 100 plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses. And right now, listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. One more time. To try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, it's Mike Kruizinga. We are back inside Real Estate Radio. Hey, it's time to get on to some high school sports. We're going to talk a little bit of high school sports with, we got Coach Farron Douglas on the line, 5A state champion boys basketball coach. Hey, Coach, you on the line with us?
Yes, I am. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing excellent. It's great to have you on board. Hey, congratulations on another amazing season, and congratulations on the state championship. By the way, folks out there, this is a back-to-back state championship. Hard to get there once, hard to win it once. Getting back there twice and winning it twice, wow, that's really difficult to do.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, how did you do it?
Basically, I mean, I think the guys just kind of, we never talked about it too much. We just kind of worked hard every day in practice, and just, we just talked about getting better. We never talked about winning the state championship. So I just credit the guys, man. It's a lot of stress on young guys that's 16, 17 years old in the community and everybody, talking to back, so I think they did a great job just handling the pressure all year.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point that, these guys are, I mean, they're men, but, they are kids at the same time, 16, 17 years old. And, especially, and honestly, I think the pressure is on high school sports is even a little bit more nowadays than it used to be. I know it was no big deal back in the day when I was playing sports. It was, most people were working during game time, and so nobody was there, whereas they got packed houses these days, and, of course, you got social media as well. I mean, how do you kind of help the players deal with, with this type of pressure?
Oh, man, it's different. Like you say, when I was coming up, we didn't have cell phones and different things like that. I have a story. I think it was like in 2015, we normally when we stay in the hotel, I'd take the phones up, so the guys can get focused, get out the phone and all that. But the next year, we finally made it to state, and one of my guys said, "Coach, that don't work. Can we keep our phones?" So I said, "Wow, and they play better. So I don't take up phones now. I think they're just part of their life now. So it's just an adjustment that we had to make."
Right. Well, maybe, I guess, and as each generation comes up, they have different things to deal with. We kind of dealt with things more live and in person, and these days, they don't necessarily deal with things live and in person as much. It's kind of more through social media. And I guess they start to learn how to manage it then, I guess.
Right. Well, they did a good job. They do a good job, It's just like you say, it's just a new generation, new time, and these guys, they did a great job this year, handling all that type of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, it was a close game in the championship game over Fort Bend, and a 3-point game, and they got close towards the end on you, and so how did you kind of keep everybody together and hold tight to pull it off?
Well, we just we had a tough district this year. I think we got one of the toughest districts in the state, so. By us playing tough games, close games, and knowing how to, react under pressure, the guys handled it well. We had, as I always say, you have a little adversity going in. Getting on the bus, getting ready to go to the game, getting on the bus, our charter bus didn't start. The battery was dead. And I was like, oh, man, what type of almond is this? I don't know,
That's right. Yeah, that would be a little A little disconcerting for sure.
Right. So when we get to the game, it was already against us already. So when we get to the game, they had Fort Bend Elkins. They was ranked above us the whole year, and they was pretty good. Another thing happened too. Our best player, our leading scorer, Jacoby Pemberton, he blows out his knee in the semifinal game Thursday. So we going in the game with a dead battery and not our best player. He's not playing at all. So. And we playing against the number one team in the state. So the guys just rallied around that, man, and they just played tough, and we had some people step up to win a big game for us.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, going a man down, and then, of course, your ride goes down on you as well. A lot of adversity, the coming weeks of the game and the day of the game, and to kind of hold tight and get the win, that's pretty huge. By and large, throughout the season, I was looking at the scores. I mean, you're probably averaging, 15, 17-point victories on everybody. Now, obviously, there was a few close games in there, but you had quite a few blowouts as well. Really only looks to me like just had a couple losses. These weren't, games that were mattering necessarily, but,
right.
Probably good to have a couple losses in there to kind of, refocus the team. I know sometimes just winning and winning big, it's hard to keep the focus.
Right. What I like to do, I like to always schedule the best. I want to schedule the best early in the season. I don't too much worry about the losses or whatever. I'm just mainly concerned about the experience. And then once we get to district time, I think we'll be ready. So I like to really, really load my schedule real tough in the beginning of the season. So we'll be pretty much unseen and played everybody. So I think it's the scheduling part early in the year that helps us a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think the smart coaches do that. They load up front, and they load those games that are non-district games, sort of just for competition, seeing where you are. Maybe you play a level above, like you picked up Humble Atascocita, which actually went to the state finals 6A this year, but lost. So, you played them, and you played them strong and played them tight. They barely won by, 7 points. But I think the smart coaches do that. They play the best up front and prepare their team, to take on district and then move on.
Right. And another thing, too, I just feel like when you do that, you kind of let your kids know that, hey, man, we got a lot of work to do. But I'm the type of coach, I like to win and get better. A lot of coaches, they try to, they'll take a loss to get better, but I like to win and get better.
Right. Yeah. If you can keep those wins up and keep everybody's, head in the game, then that's obviously what you want to do. And you've got a big task ahead of you because, keeping, 16, 17-year-old boys' heads in the game, that can be tough, because you got a lot of distractions. We talked about the social media, but of course, you got the ladies and, all the other things that they want to do as well, right?
Right, yeah, you got to kind of try to juggle everything together, but again, these guys, man, they did a great job, and just being there last year, that's the experience they had last year, they were just anxious to get back to that spot, and like I always tell them, man, we just got to respect the process, we don't want to skip processes, when you already been to a state championship one year, you ready to just fast forward everything back to that point again, but not taking care of the steps that got you there last year. So we just want to take one practice at a time, one day at a time. We got a saying that we call EPIV, and that's which we call every possession is vital. So we use it like just for our day-to-day practice. We want to know what every practice is vital. So we want to make sure that we getting better every day, getting the win a day, and then we just kind of play it like that. We don't want to get look too far ahead ourselves,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one thing that struck me as well is, not only were you putting up quite a bit of points, this year, but, you were holding your opponents pretty darn well as well. So you weren't just going out and throwing the ball up a lot. You were actually playing some defense as well.
Yeah, we play. That's what we, any team, they always, defense wins championships, but a lot of times too, we do a great job of controlling the tempo. We like to go down sometime. We can run fast and we can play if we got, numbers and to score real quick, but we also can get down and run our offense for a while also too. You know, I think when you're playing against teams like Elkins, you don't want to shoot fast because they want to get back and they could score real good. So what you want to do, you want to go down and pass that ball around some and kind of make it seem like the other end of the floor is foreign to them when they get down there. So we just want to try to control the tempo with our offense and just focus on giving them one shot on the defensive end.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a, somewhat rare approach in this day and age. It's kind of to balance that, balance the track meet, balance the getting down the floor quick and scoring quick. But a lot of times that yields the other side scoring quick, and then you try to get back quick. Maybe there's a turnover, then all of a sudden they start coming up a few possessions on top of you, and then they start picking up a lead. So kind of balancing that, getting down the floor quick, but also running your offense and controlling that tempo of the game, like you say. I think that's kind of it's a little more rare in the game now, don't you think?
Right. But they just come from experience, just me as a coach. I remember in 2010 we played a Houston Yates team. They was ranked number one in the country. I don't know if you remember that game. We played them in Austin. And they was putting up 120, 130 points, man. I was like, wow, how are we going to try to play with these guys, And that's what I picked up. I just feel like you can't run with them every time, and every shot is not a good shot. So what we did, if we had a layup, a lot of times we just pulled it out and made them play some defense and just, try to keep them from the other end of the floor as much as possible because they can score in bunches, I think that just came from me just with that experience from that and I just, as a coach, you just got to keep getting better and keep learning. You never know everything. So I just think those games back then in 2010 that helped me to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you did break 100 a couple times this year, and what a great season. And we're running out of time, but Coach, thank you so much for calling in for the high school sports segment this Sunday morning. Congratulations on back-to-back state champions.
Thank you so much.
Best wishes on a great season next year. Hey, thanks so much for calling in. Folks, Inside Real Estate and News, Mike Kruizinga. Hey, we're here every week, 8 a.m. See you next week. We're out. Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga are attorneys, CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show.